What's up, guys? So, what, month and a half, 2 months into this Wilwood brakes, and in the fronts they started to make that uh, track pad squealing when you'd pull it to a stop, like some under like 10 miles an hour, and you're just barely creeping along. It starts to howl pretty good. So I have some brake pad grease that you put on the backside of the pads and then on the runners that hold the pad square in the caliper. So I'm gonna go over real quick, pulling the wheel off and then putting it all, tearing it apart and greasing it up. All right, so here you go. So front rotor, 4-piston type. So you got quite a bit of brake dust going on. I've been daily driving this thing 5 days a week, 30-mile round trip every day. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the steering wheel around so we can see the top side of the caliper, and then we'll go ahead and we'll pull this bolt out and fish the pads out and wipe everything down and apply some more grease and put it back together. Alright, so here we go. So you can see where the pads mount, these little tabs here and here and up here, and then this crossbar is what kind of keeps the pads from falling out the top, and these tabs keep them from going down the bottom. So you end up applying grease to the back sides of the pads, here and here where the pistons are at, and then on these leading edges where the brakes rub up against these keepers. And it seems to get rid of the squeal for a couple months. So let's go and get these torn apart. Alright, so we got the top bolt off with the spacer, spans across there. So now I'm just going to take a screwdriver and pry that down in there and the bottom, make sure they're loose. You can also put a screwdriver between the rotor and the top of the pad backing plate to kind of squish the pistons back in, and then from underneath you can just push up with your hand. Just doing this two-handed here, and you can see some of the blue stuff down in there from the previous time I lubed this up. So I'll go ahead and wipe all these down, clean them all up, and then apply more. So make sure that one stays here, and the same thing on this one. Just push up from the bottom. Something sharp back there, that's got to be the bracket, and the pad comes right out the top. That's the one nice thing about the Wilwood setup is everything's pretty easy to get in and out once you got it all figured out and working. And then yeah, it's just these two bolts here hold the caliper in. This is a radial mount caliper, so I'm going to double check, make sure these are tight, and I'm going to get these cleaned up, and then I'll show how to apply the lube and put it back together. Alright, so I got everything kind of cleaned up there, back at the pad cleaned up. So take some of this stuff and apply it. Apply quite a bit of it all the way around. And this is going to be the fun part, doing this with one hand. And then we need to apply it across this leading edge here, and on the other side, and up at the, oh, it helps if I actually show it. Apply it across here, and across there. Yeah, there, and over there. And then we'll shove this back down in there. I'll have to move my arms around to get this going. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show this real quick. What we're doing, we're going to apply circular pattern here across the back. You can kind of see where the wear mark is at. We're going to do the same thing over here. And then we're going to do across the front and on this little tab, and then across the front and on this little tab, and then that should be it. So now we're going to and I'll go ahead and drop this down in there like that. And then from here, I'm going to put a little bit of lube on the very top and the top, where all this goes together. I'm going to drop that guy back in there. There it goes. And we take our bolt and our nut, and we run it through like that. And then with our crescent wrench, or the appropriate size wrench. Hold it up here. Alright, so here we go. So here's it all shoved back together. Push the pads down in there. You can see the blue stuff sticking out on the corners. And it's also on the backs. Put the retaining bolt with the spacer. Got all that wrench back down. So yep, so now this side's done. So we already did the other side. I'm going to pull the rears apart and check those also. Alright, so here's the rear setup. I modified these. I tapped these for this bolt I made. It goes through the hole, captures the top of the pad. I like that a little bit better than the big old counter pin that they had on there originally. So here's the brake pads. So same concept as the front. We're going to put lube on this surface here and on the back, and then also on this side where the pistons grab. So that should help reduce any squeaky noises. Plus these are PP or BP brake pad 10s. These are the street ones. The ones up front are the BP 20s, more of a track pad, so that might be why they make noise.